They have a canteen, a stall selling Mars bars, soft drink, yeah?
So you give them a Pepsi away?
Maybe. Alright? So this particular stall is a bit dodgy, and my sister's gala, you know, netball day. They didn't advertise the individual prices, okay? I want you with the person next to you, so I'll say it all again. 3 Mars bars, 2 soft drinks, how much? $11.25. 2 Mars bars, 5 soft drinks, $13. Try and figure out my thought, how much do they each cost individually? What does simultaneous mean? At the same time, very good. So if we were, for instance, talking about our overall topic, 2 lines intersecting at the same point. So if this is line 1, this is line 2, this is where they are simultaneous, where they intersect. Does that make sense? So you can find a simultaneous solution. What would that be? It would be the point X and Y where they intersect. Okay. So let's try this first. I've got 2 equations. I want to find when they intersect, when they meet at the same point. What do you think I should do? Get y by itself. Or what's the I word for that? No, good try. Getting something by itself. If someone's in the corner by themselves, isolated person, yes. So which one do you think is going to be easier to get y by itself? The second one. So let's look at this one. Y by itself, so I need to do what with the 3x? Take 3x. From both sides of the equals, so we're left with that. So that's the first step. Make one of the equations isolating y. Or you can isolate x. It actually doesn't matter. I'm going to do y. Okay, so that's the first step. Then what do I... So step 2, we substitute. So we're going to let's call this, I'm going to use fancy square brackets. I'm going to call that equation 2. This is called equation, if that's 2, what's this one called? So I'm going to communicate to the person, I don't know, looking at my working out. What am I going to say? Sub in sub 2 into 1. So I have isolated y. So wherever I see a y in number 1, I'm going to put all of this stuff. Does that make sense? So we've got to use brackets, otherwise it'll get confusing. So I'm going to put everything in. Does everyone see what I've done? So where that y value is in the second equation, in the first equation, I've put the second equation in, like that. You see? Now, how many variables do I have in that new equation? 1, so I can solve, can't I, for that? Yeah? So remember your order of operation, what should I do first? Let's do the brackets. 3 times negative 2 is 3 times negative 3x, negative 9x, take x equals 4. There's 2 takes, so it becomes negative 10x. and we bring the -6 over to the other side, what does it become? +6. So x, -10x equals 10. X equals what? -1. So 10 divided by -10 is -1. Yeah? So we sub in, then we solve. What did I solve for? Solve for x. What do you think is the last step? Solve for y. It's good to use the easiest equation here to save yourself time. So we can pick that one. Y equals -2 take 3x. So now instead of x, what am I going to put? -1. Do you see what I did there? I subbed in x equals -1. So y equals -2 plus 3. What's that? Okay, so our solution, yep, so -1, 1. One more thing you have to do when we do simultaneous equations, after you get the solution, you also need to do a check. So you guys are used to doing checks. 3y take x equals 4. So what was y again? You guys remember? It's 1. And what was x? -1. So 3 plus 1 equals 4. Equals right hand side. So 3m plus, what did you use for soft drink? 2s. Did everyone do that, or did someone use different letters? X and Y, yeah, that's fine. It's good to say m. If you didn't do this, can you write this down? M equals Mars bar cost. S, and if you used x, just write x equals Mars bar cost. 13. Okay, so we've got the two equations. Which one do you think should we rearrange to isolate? I'll bring the 5s to the other side. It becomes -5s. Dividing everything by becomes m. So we have equation 1. We're going to sub it into equation 2. 3, wherever the m is, we put all of that stuff. Yeah? Does that make sense? 3 times 6.5. Now we're getting a bit tricky. A bit easier. 3 times 2.5. Take a guess. All right, now I've got to collect like terms. So -7.5 plus 2s. What does that become? 5s. All right, then bring the 19.5 over. 5 on both sides. That's pretty tricky. Yes, good job. What do you think? Is that a good price for a soft drink can? Yes. And now to find out the Mars bar, what do we do? Yep, so I'm going to use this equation, number 1. M equals F times 1.5. Just double check I've done that. Yep. Okay, so the Mars bar, pretty expensive. Depends if it's a mini one or if it's a big one. Okay, and then don't forget the check. It is these 5 steps. So if you're struggling with this topic, because it is one of the hardest topics we do this term, follow these 5 steps.